Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sloppy Lab. This is Bottom of the Beaker, the weekly show about the design, ducks, and strategy of KeyForge. Everybody, and I mean everybody's unique deck favorite unique deck game? I messed it up. You know what? Stay sloppy, folks. I'm JT Russell, and with me tonight is the man who doesn't feel like he's truly haunted until he's got 3,457 cards in his discard pile. Of course, talking about quickdraw 3457. Hello, quickdraw. How are you this
Hey,
evening?
I am good. One of these days, you'll get the intro just right. You're gonna nail it, and you're just gonna like play it every single episode. Never have to worry about it again. But it's okay though. We still love you.
That'd probably be the very last episode, so let's make sure that doesn't happen. And we have a special guest in the lab this evening. Quickdraw, can you tell us who we got?
Absolutely. We got Philly1 here with us tonight, aka Philly. Welcome to the show, Philly.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, totally.
It's a
We're super
pleasure.
excited.
Absolutely. We just like I think everybody right now in the KeyForge community are super excited about Grim Reminders, and so that's what we'll be chatting about tonight. And you've got a pretty special perspective, I'd say, on the set. So we're really happy to chat with you about it tonight. Kind of just talk about our sloppy first impressions, what we like about the set, maybe what we don't like, if anything. Probably not. We just love it, and just go into more details. So looking forward to digging into it with you, Philly.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Figure out what we like about the set.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully,
And
we. I think we're starting to figure it out, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Now, if we're figuring out what's competitive, I don't know, but
We need
figure out
Saz
what's
for that.
fun.
We don't have Saz yet. We have no idea what's good. So
that's right. Hold off on your buying and selling or figuring out your Archon contenders.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's actually funny because I was like, I haven't played a ton of it yet. I'm really liking the set. Like, I'm really liking the set. And Quickdraw like went to two local plays. And he's like, all right, let's go. I'm on the Grim Reminders train. When are we doing the Grim Reminders first impression episode? So yeah.
yeah, and JT's like, I better play some games before we talk about that. So you've been
Mhm.
yep.
squeezing in as many games as you could this week, huh?
I have. But I mean, between you two, I mean, so I don't know, Philly. I don't know. Do you want to tell us why you'd have a special insight, perhaps, into the set, as it were?
Well, I was one of the play testers for the set, so not only have I been playing games with my game found decks that I got recently, but I was playing it long before it was released, and I can give you some insights onto my perspective on some things and maybe some of the process from my point of view.
That is
Awesome.
excellent. Really looking forward to that, and happy to have your perspective and sharing it with everybody listening. So that's very cool. Um, Before we get into it, though, just a quick aside. You and I and JT have talked a little bit more the last few months as we've kind of like interacted more and hung out with more digitally with Cloggin. And we were talking before the show. Cloggin actually, friend of all three of us, has a pretty big project coming up. Do you want to talk about that real briefly before we get into the rest of the Grim Reminders talk?
Yeah, so shout out to Cloggin. He is doing the journey of publishing his own game. He's going on the backer kit route, and Adventuring Letty is the name of his game, and the artwork for this game is top notch. Um, he's got a whole backstory about his dog that he really loves, and you should go check it out. At least check out this artwork. I think you said something about there be a link in the description or something like that. So
Hmm.
there's a backer kit running the month of February for Adventuring Letty, and I'm looking forward to it. So let's get shout out to Cloggin here, and let's check out his game. You might enjoy it. So take a look.
It's you described it earlier as a game of discarding cards, and everyone here knows we love discarding cards.
Yes.
That is the sloppy way. So I think it's going to be a game for us for sure.
ABCD.
Sp-
ABCD. I was yeah looking at it a little earlier. I'm like, yeah, I should definitely see myself enjoying this one. Could see it playing with my oldest kid too. I'm always looking for games that are like it's kind of gave me some like King Domino vibes in the sense of like this is a game I could enjoy as a grown up, but also like is accessible to a kid, and then we're both gonna have fun. But yeah,
yeah.
anyway, cool stuff. Check out the link. It
Yeah.
will be in the show notes. It's in the chat here too on the stream. So I don't know if you'll be seeing things until the month of February, which is tomorrow at the time that we're recording. But Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. And kind of also in general housekeeping, you want to go by Philly number one. Do you say, well, because we're big on pronunciation on the show, the pronunciation is kind of a big thing. When you say your full handle, right, in your mind, do you say Philly1 or Philly number one?
I call it Philly1.
Okay.
It's double meaning, right? So either, if I'm doing awesome, it's Philly, number one, like abbreviation for number one. If I'm doing terrible, it's no one. He's Philly, he's no one.
Nice. Nice. That gives me like, I'm sure you've played against Am I Bluffin'? Me Bluffin' on
Yep.
TCL from time to time. Another really cool person. But I always read that as like, am I bluffing or me bluffing? I'm like, you's probably bluffing. Call the bluff. So
Yes.
I really appreciate the like Philly1, Philly number one double meaning. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool peeps. So yeah, Grim Reminders, sloppy first impressions. Let's I guess talk high level. High level. Where are we at? What are we feeling after having our hands on decks that are like officially released, right? For well, I guess not officially released yet, but backer kit, not backer kit, game found arrival ish for the folks who have been fortunate enough to get them so far. Had those for what, a week or so? Yeah, what are the first impressions? More than a week. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. I really feel like KeyForge is back in a big way, and not just like the game is in print again, but like this feels like KeyForge. Like this is KeyForge to me. I don't hide it very much anymore, but I am not a big fan of WoW. And I played a lot of WoW like at my LGS. We played Sealed every week for the last like 3 or 4 months, and it's fun. It's great to play Sealed KeyForge, but like last week playing Sealed Grim Reminders with them was just like next level to me. It just felt like a huge puzzle. I've just really loved it, like top to bottom. I'm pretty obsessed with the set so far.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it myself too. I've once I got my game found, I cracked open all of them, and
Wow.
I know lots of people like love to just like do it one at a time or something like that. But just my situation, I don't really have like the local game store or something like that.
Hmm.
And like with the last game found, I did save this box of Woe, and I was gonna like wait till I had some friends come over and we were gonna play it. And then we got busy and did something else, and I didn't get a chance. So I'm just like, but I so what I've been doing and just taking my decks and just like open up 2 decks, have them play each other just like solo, and I've just been like kind of keeping track of it. So I have some hopes for this as like one that I'll get a pretty good sense of sealed Grim Reminders. Two, I'll like kind of figure out what some of my better decks are or what like jives with me even before SAS is out. And then I think they said sealed or whatever was going to be part of the vault tours, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe that'll give me a little bit better grasp of that going forward. um, yeah, and
Yeah.
maybe find the things I like too. It's like, oh, I really like that sandworm with the double sandhopper.
Yep.
I was
JT
drooling
was
over
just
that
showing me
deck.
that one.
Yeah.
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 Like, what is this nonsense? Because I
That's very
went
cool.
looking through, I opened one display, my name decks, and the Revenant deck. Okay, so from the pledge, I opened a display, name decks, Revenant deck, and I was like, I just want to see Sandhopper and Sandworm together because they're like, come on, so much value. And I looked at this deck you shared. It's like double Sandhopper, Sandworm, and the Sandworm has a sloppy pip on it. Like, oh, so good, so good. I actually think I have that deck up on screen. No, this is the one.
Yeah,
11
you sent me
Fingers,
yeah.
Blaze, Chaos Tracker. Oh, this deck is just a beautiful thing. Look at that
Yeah.
Sandworm with the sloppy pip and like double Sandhopper with Omnipus, getting those Omnipus plays off house. Oh, like chef kiss.
Omnipus and then from the deep.
Yeah.
30 power
Yeah.
creature with after fight steal 2. That's a new creature. So
Mm-hmm.
Super cool.
I mean, yeah. And double Webster in Geistoid. So just big creatures throughout the entire deck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
the two BR Geist, like that's so cool. You can play creatures from like every house. Um, Pretty neat deck. Like there's so many things like this, like that combo of Sandhopper and Sandworm I hadn't even thought of. Like we're still in this discovery phase of Grim Reminders, and I'm I'm having so much fun with it. Like I'm sorry that you don't have a large community, but I love your approach to playing all these self games with them. Like, sounds like you're playing almost everything you open, or trying to play as many as you can. Is that right?
Yeah. So I have played 14 games so far. So I've just like opened and played with 28 of my decks.
Awesome.
And the other reason was like, they're not buying a display of AOA where it's like about $1 a deck. They're a little over $10 or whatever they were. So it's like, let's get some money's worth out of all these decks.
Right.
I don't want to just open it and like throw it away. It's like I want to play
Yeah.
these now.
Well, I have the self control finally to not open all of my displays that I got, but I think that's largely aided because, first of all, I have some locals to play with, and my wife actually was playing like the last week or so.
Oh, nice.
She's like, "You're so excited for this. I'll play some games with you." I love it. It was a blast, and she started to enjoy it.
Good.
So I
You're
think
bearing
she
the
likes
lead on
the
the story,
game.
Quick Draw. You started with some Grim Reminders. Your wife was having fun, and you're like, you know what? Let's try this Dark Tidings set. I got over here too.
Take it up a notch. Yeah, got some more sealed dark tidings. Let's do it.
Oh,
Um,
funny.
but I've been opening them slowly because I have the ability to play them. I'm trying to play more than I ever have. I know a lot of people say they don't like to open a deck unless they are going to play it, and I really appreciate that. And I think not having Saz around is great for this as well because what other way to learn the set and learn what your deck's doing than you just open it up and play it. So it's just been a ton of fun for that.
Yeah. I've been finding with, treating this as sealed basically that like um, I've had more games where it's like one side is up like 2 keys to nothing and the other side can just like turn around and come back. It's just like, whoa. And just it's been a lot of enjoyable games. I finally had one this afternoon that wasn't as enjoyable. Um, I was like, this isn't that fun. But what the case was, one deck had double fang tooth and that Geistoid artifact. I can't remember the name, but like when a creature is destroyed, it gets purged.
Curse tune.
And yeah, so it's just like it was fighting a deck that only had 6 amber pips and was creature heavy, and just like I've got no answers to this. So
Yeah.
that was a little one-sided, but everything else has been this great back and forth and like big swingy turns and things like that. So, for the sealed experience for Grim Reminders, I think it's just a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally agree. I've had so much fun because like I play decks and then I mess up like the haunted or I mess up a combo and you're like playing halfway through the game and you're like, oh my god, like I didn't realize I could have done that. Like and that like in the moment of realizing that stuff is great. And I've had a few decks where I've like really enjoyed them and I've stuck with them and played them like 3, 4, 5 times now, and they're really starting to click. And I just love that feeling of feeling like this deck is not just like straight value out of the gate, but spending the time to learn it and realizing all the mistakes that I made in the earlier games and getting better with that is so rewarding. I really just love it.
Yeah. I think, finding the, well, transitioning, to Grim Reminders versus Woe, I guess like finding the creature control in like some of the decks that I have opened up, I'd say the creature control has been a little bit lacking, but then you get somewhere, it's there. So, maybe it's just what I've opened up. Although for Amber Storm, that untamed action, that's if you time that right, that's a lot of fun for creature control. Like deal 1 damage for every amber in your pool to enemy creatures. So I've been enjoying that card a lot.
Yeah.
That card's
There's some good
a lot of
Brobnar
fun.
creature control.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and Brobnar too. I mean, they're just some really big Brobnar boards. A lot of splash damage getting thrown around from actions as well. Really cool. Yeah, I love Ember Storm in this set, especially if you get to pair it with, Rot Feast. Is that the card I'm thinking of?
Yeah. I think so.
Yep.
Gives you an amber every time a creature is dealt damage that turn. It's like, all right, I'm gonna double up and see how this goes. Very cool. But yeah, and a lot of big Brobnar boards running around too. So it seems a lot of fun. I think that's an interesting question though. While we're on the topic, Woe was very strong. Do you feel like, from your impressions so far, that Grim Reminders has kind of what it's going to take to unseat Woe from the top seat in the meta, as it were?
I'll let you give the right answer first, Philly, and then I'll try to fill in some.
In my experience, and I can go into more detail about this a little later, like, um, I'm going to say I still think Woe is king, but I think Grim Reminders is right up there. I don't think it's a bad set. No, I don't think it's going to be a letdown at all. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just and we're kind of in that honeymoon period, but like it's just so much fun to play, and so I've been enjoying like almost all my games and all the different interactions and stuff like that, and the handcrafting is just real. It's like with the discard pips and stuff like that. um, I do wonder, like I said earlier, about the creature control, unless you have some Brobnar or like some cards to, take care of that token flood. But so that might be the issue. But what my experience with decks, and what ends up being those top unicorns, that the top of the top, um, are not necessarily going to be the same thing. So like I'm positive there will be woe decks that do shine, and one big differentiation from woe to Grim Reminders is the key cheats. So I think there's going to be some decks that are really able to make those happen. Um, that other deck that I brought up, the Scathing Sensei,
Mm-hmm.
it's got that Ecto Charge with double Boo and double Hallowed Eve Festival. So
Yep.
just like the ability to just like drain my entire deck. When I played this deck, I was able to Ecto Charge for 3 amber. So I just only thing I do wonder though is like when you're discarding like 20 cards, are you going to get that Ecto Charge or is it going to be discarded? So there's going
Yeah,
to be a little bit of that randomness there.
you need a way to get it back. Like there are a few cards that will let you archive a couple cards from your discard pile in here somewhere, which looks like you also have in the deck you're referring to. So like you have ways to handcraft, like you said, and that handcrafting is like what I really love about this. Like to me, it feels like there's more handcrafting than there was in WoW. Um, I think I agree with you that it's gonna slot in a little bit below WoW overall, like as far as like straight power. But I do think that the handcrafting and the added agency that this set has because of that, I think is going to put its ceiling possibly higher. Um, and I'm not worried about the free key cheats yet. Like there are tons of key cheats this set, and in almost every game I've played with Ecto Charge, I've got a cheap key with it. Maybe not free, but like you said, about 3 is
Yeah.
pretty common. And think I'm okay with that because I really feel that you mentioned like the lack of C in some decks in this set. There's a straight lack of scaling amber control in this set, period.
Yeah.
And I feel that Ghost Galaxy's done a pretty good job of kind of maneuvering the set to be have different strengths and weaknesses, play into each old set differently. And so maybe you can't take care of the token spam, but maybe you can get that cheap key with a key cheat later, like to combat that. I think it's been a great example of some like good rock paper scissors that we're going to see. And just because this set can give you a key for 2 with Ecto Charge almost every game, doesn't mean that it's going to blow everything away that came before it.
Yeah. One card that I really love for amber control is Trawler. So if you're haunted, just capture all of your opponent's amber. I mean, so some of my favorite KeyForge cards are those big swingy ones, and capturing all your opponent's amber for a turn. Maybe if it's even just a turn. I mean, that can be a huge amount. And I think that just creates a fun gameplay experience.
Hmm.
Yeah, and there's like those kind of cards like Trawler that you have to look out for. They're kind of like a Drumble or a Miasma, basically. That you need to have a game plan for it if you don't have like a key sheet or something. So there's been lots of interplay I felt in the games that I've played, and I think I've only played in set, so I haven't played like against other sets yet. But I'm really looking forward to that discovery of like how it matches up with some of my best decks from older sets and others as well.
Yeah.
I really do
Well,
appreciate the reach that Grim Reminders feels like it has. Like, Gosh, there have been games, and most of the Grim Reminders games that I've played have been inset also, but have been these play-by-post games that Quick Draw's had the benefit of being the fly on the wall for. Whether or not he's following along, I'm not sure, but with Not Tonight, and even in games where like we just wrapped one up where I think she was on check for key 3 on like turn 6, and things were looking really grim, and I was like, you know what, I'm 2 keys behind or 1 key behind, but I feel like with the right draw from here, I can still like get there with key cheats. If things line up. So like, yeah, the reach is real. And I think even, you're going to have counterplay even against some of these big board spammy woe decks that you're going to run into, even if you don't have the board control necessarily to keep up on that vector. Totally.
Yeah. One card that might be fun against woe is Echoing Death Kneel. It's like deal 1 damage to each creature, and then like if you destroy a creature, like do it again. I remember playing that in play testing and like chaining it like up to 5 damage. So if you can do that, that was just a lot of fun. Just like lining it up. So it's like, okay.
And that takes a lot of planning, right? Like it's a big setup and payoff to like wipe the board with that card.
Yep.
This feels like a very like, I don't know, Dark Tidings successor type card, in the vein of your like infightings or Kerwallops, where you're really trying to orchestrate things to get the most out of some of these effects. A lot of upside, a lot of potential for sure.
It's a good comparison. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I like about Grim Reminders, in my experience, is that it's not just it's not the same cards as previous sets with an added stipulation or something like that. Like there was the we had Virtuous Works and Coda that was just like 3 Amber Pips. And then there was, I forget the name of it, but that card in Dark Tidings that did the same thing, but you had
Strange
to have
Ordination.
the tide. Yeah. I don't see a whole bunch of, like I'm sure there's some, but cards that are just like a straight copy of a card from a previous set, but you have to be haunted.
Haunting Witch comes to mind for one.
There are some, yeah.
The big difference with Haunting Witch, though, is counts itself. Right? Am I right in thinking that Haunting Witch counts itself? So if you play a Haunting Witch while haunted, you still get an Amber, which is a very, very cool difference from Hunting Witch, if I'm remembering right. I could be wrong. Let me double check. That's how I've been playing it.
You may be right. You've been cheating.
So I've been cheating, which is very possible.
Haunting Witch says after you play a creature, if you're haunted, gain 1. And then I think Hunting Witch, if I'm not mistaken, says another creature.
I think that's right. Yeah, after each time you play another creature.
Very good catch.
So yeah, it's cool. It's cool to use for itself. It's got a pip baked in while haunted for the downside of having to wait perhaps in the early games.
Cool story. I have a Hunting Witch in Grim Reminders.
Nice.
My Witch Queen deck that I opened at KFC was so exciting to open that. Like when I didn't know anything about the set. And then I get a deck, and it has like a Legacy Hunting Witch in it, and it's got the Witch Queen, and just like reading through that stuff was so exciting first time. So cool. And I saw some like really amazing Witch Queen pods from other players. Like some people brought in Chota. I played against someone last week at my local who had this incredible deck. He had a Witch Queen, and I don't know if he had any. He did have one Legacy. I think it was Feathered Shaman, if I'm not mistaken, which I didn't even realize was a witch. And then he had a Haunting Witch and a Witch of the Eye and a Jervy. And the Jervy is the new witch. That's I think it's an uncommon where it says if you reap, you can take any card from your deck into hand. Yeah. And so he's got this Witch Queen deck with all that stuff, and we're like halfway through the game, and he busts out a Dark Heart of the Forest. And I'm like, dang, like I thought I had it. I didn't have, I don't think I had artifact control for it. And then I'm like thinking I'm all clever by like, shuffling through my deck, and he's got 2 boos in his deck as well. So even if you can like get through your deck and become unhaunted to forge a key, his next turn he just plays boo, and you skip your forge a key step again.
Nice.
Got some really crazy combos though. Like you've got a spooky charge, and just like seeing all the exciting things you can do with. It sounds like mostly Untamed. Like the Untamed stuff is wild, but it's been so much fun to watch.
Yeah. Some of my play testing experience, got me excited for like Witch Queen, and that was definitely one thing I was hoping to get in my game found, and I didn't. Darn. Yeah, so I'll have to like get one of those secondary market or something. But yeah, like I had some really fun interactions with the Witch Queen, and the deck I was playing with. It's like the Witch Queen was in the middle, and I was bringing in Jarvie, and like I think that they can fight like right away or something like that. They come in
Yeah, they come in
ready.
ready. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just
Oof.
like I was just like fighting with Jarvie like to take out the opponent's board, and then like gets destroyed. And it goes back to hand, and like I play it again, and so that was something that it was a really cool interaction. Quite
Yeah.
quite witchy, right?
Yeah,
And then
and like the fact that it brings legacies means that everyone's going to have these different unique interactions. So
oh
I
yeah,
have a legacy hunting witch, someone else has a legacy chota. Like mine actually has a perilous wild as well. And so as you know, the witch queen gives all of your other witches elusive. And so perilous wild is going to kill my other witches, bring them back to my hand, play them ready again, and I have a witch of the eye and I can just take back the perilous wild again and just keep playing this stuff over and over again with like the hunting witch, and the perilous wild has an extra amber pip on it, so like this crazy stuff you can do with the witch queen. I'm looking forward to seeing what other people have with their witch queen pods.
yeah. And like you were saying with the Dark Heart of the Forest, that was another deck that I played in play testing, and that was another deck I was hoping to get, and I do not have one. I have several decks with Spooky Charge, but I also really wanted a deck with Dark Heart of the Forest and Spooky Charge. Um, I had one game play testing that we were just going around and around because, like you were saying, trying to get to that state where you can forge a key again, and then the opponent is just like, nope, and
Yeah,
so it's like, I missed my window, or whatever. So
yeah,
it was kind of interesting, but it was kind of like it's fun to be the one doing the locking out, but there's like ways around it that you can like try to think through like answers to. It's not just Heart of the Forest. It's you know
yeah.
there's more things you can do
It's a
against
puzzle.
it. So
It's great.
yeah,
And I think everyone's listening. Like we're talking about all these like crazy combos, and many people may be thinking like, "Oh man, the set's going to just be horrible. It's going to be so NPE to play against. They're going to hate it." But just enjoy it. Like just laugh at the funny stuff that happens when your opponent locks you out with the Dark Heart of the Forest. And remember, like playing sealed is just been fantastic. And I think the timing of them saying sealed is going to be a premier level event at Vault Tours is perfect, because if it turns out that Ecto Charge and Key Abduction decks are just insane in Archon, then we can play sealed Vault Tours and have a great time, because the sealed environment with Grim Reminders, in my opinion, is just it's the best experience I've had with any sealed.
Hmm.
yeah, and
So, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I and this is just my personal opinion, but like, um, it just seems like every time we get a new set out, there's always something that's just like people are like, I don't know about this, I think it's too powerful or whatever. And I kind of take the approach of like, well, the way KeyForge is built, we can have those big swingy things, and I think that just makes for some really fun game interactions. I was I was listening, and we can be sure that like, you know, that's one of the things the playtesters are for, is to like try to like make sure things aren't broken, and do their best, right? I would, looking back, maybe Martian Generosity, that card, you could say, maybe that card was broken, but I was listening to another podcast, Board Game Design Lab, and he had an episode with Richard Garfield on, and he was kind of talking about like the development of Magic the Gathering, and he was saying like if you're able to develop a new set and catch everything, you're not trying hard enough to do all the
Mm.
cool things. It's like apparently like they had two different teams, or like one that like developed all the cards, and then another that was just like making sure things worked or whatnot. And it's like he was thinking like if I don't know, like uh, two cards got through or something that were busted, then that was okay. You were like doing the right thing, as long as there was some like way of correcting it in the future. And I don't know, like, so I thought that was an interesting perspective, on that, as far as like things being busted, so
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
it's
think you got
definitely
to release these things with a little bit of a question mark, right? Because if you, and I feel like we may have talked about this before, I can't recall, but if you're able to solve the environment as a playtester in the subset, the handful of games that you play relative to the vast number of games that are going to get played afterwards, then you probably didn't make a deep enough game or environment to keep everybody interested, right? Because if you could kind of solve it in a couple weeks with your handful of playtesters jamming games, it's gonna be solved very quickly, and folks aren't gonna be that excited long term. You're gonna be pumping out sets awfully quickly, and say what you will, like we went a long time between sets, and folks have been still having fun jamming games. Doesn't feel like it always feels like you could find something new that's going to be powerful, and it's not like, oh, if it's not this one thing, this one archetype that I know is the best, then it's not going to be any good. Like there's still lots of room to explore and find cool new good stuff, even with past sets. Totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like you were talking about on a previous episode, Quick Draw, I think you said something like we might have to kind of rethink what we think of as busted, just because like we're not printing like coda numbers of decks. So like that very well could be true.
I'm comfortable with like the possibility of Ectocharge getting a free key almost every game, because we're not going to see a million decks printed again. I mean, I don't think so, at least. Maybe GG has bigger plans. But if we did see that print run, like I was talking about this a few weeks ago, as you mentioned, like if we saw the print run of Coda in Winds of Exchange, then that set would just be absolutely busted. Like there's going to be these insane decks out there. And I'm thankful that we don't have that print run. I mean, I wish that Winds of Exchange was able to get into more people's hands. I know that was, something that a lot of people just literally weren't able to get. And I hope that's not the case for Grim Reminders. But at the same time, I don't want sets to be overprinted to the point that they were in Coda and AOA either. So I like the approach that they've been taking with like stronger stuff. It's just that WoW specifically for me was just not my style of KeyForge that I enjoyed. But now that there's like a similar power creep that we're seeing in Grim Reminders, I'm just enjoying the games more, and I'm, it's making me feel much more okay with like that type of power creep.
Yeah.
Quick Draw, thumbs up, thumbs down. How excited would you be to see a Chelonia, a legacy Chelonia brought in by a witch? Do you want to have a Tide card in your Grim Reminders?
Oh my God, yes, please. I don't need the rules card, so I'll take a Tide card. That would be amazing.
Nice. All right.
I want to be the person that opens a Tide card in Grim Reminders.
That would be pretty funny. Then we would know the conspiracy of DT being a precursor.
Maybe there's one in here.
Oh, maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe.
No. I will say though, I mentioned the rules card, and I also mentioned that my wife had been playing with me the last week or two. She's new to KeyForge. She's played a few games before, but had a great moment playing with her when I was trying to tell her about, like, I think it was Jervy. I was like, Jervy's elusive, and elusive means, and she interrupted me. She's like, oh, elusive means this. I was like, yeah, how'd you know that? She's like, I read it on my rules card that they gave me. So I was like, kudos then. Like, that's, I'm annoyed by them. I don't even know what to do with them because I know what the rules are. But it's great to see new or returning players who may not be familiar with those keywords get that, use it, and like pick up the game faster because of that. That was really cool.
I'm curious, do you guys ever use that 38th card to mark when you're haunted in your discard or not?
Oh,
it's a smart idea, but
interesting.
No. I put them in a box, or like they're in the cabinet right behind me, and they just have all of the rule cards like right in the front of the Grim Reminders box. So
yeah.
So you don't keep your rules card with the deck that it came with?
I do not.
You don't feel like you have like this incomplete deck now? It just doesn't bother you?
No. It's in the box behind me. I know exactly where it is.
Okay.
Everything's alphabetized by set, not a problem. I think I've only lost one card in my life that I know of. Maybe more. And
from the chat, Unfathomable saying they throw it away as soon as they open the deck. You monster. You monster.
Oh, be careful there, Unfathomable. EG might say, oh, well, you're missing your 38th card in this deck.
Invalid deck. Yeah, the next next time you get deck checked at a Vault Tour, they're going to want to see all 38 cards.
But what if your opponent wants to know what elusive means?
Well, that's a good question.
I keep hoping they announce something about the deck copy system. I've got some foreign language decks that I would love to turn to English.
Yeah. And same with me, because like I don't want to play my foreign language decks with my locals. I just, not all of them have every card memorized by sight like I do. So there's definitely some foreign language decks that I would love to bring to my locals.
I don't know if I
So
don't know if
yeah,
this
I'm
is
with you
gonna
on that one.
I don't know if this is gonna focus. I'm definitely not set up for like for sharing things via video, but this is one of the name decks that came with my pledge, Sloppy Lab Worker that convokes the odd. So I'm looking forward to sharing a copy of this deck with all the Sloppy Lab Workers
It's awesome. I can't wait.
once it comes through. Don't know what's in it yet. Hope it's good. We'll see. Or hope it's
Oh, you
not
haven't
good. Maybe
opened it.
that's on theme.
Uh, that is a difference that some people may have noticed, that in the custom decks, you don't actually have to open up the cellophane in order to see what's in there, because they have
Hmm.
like the ID card in front of it. So you can't actually see what's in your custom decks until you open it up and then move that uh, address card out of there.
Hmm. Hmm. Right on. Um, quick question from the chat too. Do you all feel like you have favorite Grim Reminders card already? Oh, the poster. There you go. Cloggin's so smart. This is why this guy, big brain right here. Yeah, you could check your poster. Your pledge came with a poster of the custom deck, which is still in the box, I'm sure. The box in the box. It's at the bottom of the box under the paper. I don't know.
I didn't even know what he meant when he said poster. I was like, did he throw the poster out? I didn't.
Your pledge came with a poster.
No, I know, I know. I didn't
Oh,
realize he was saying use the poster to see what's in the deck.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Smart.
smart.
Very smart.
Very.
Very,
Um,
man.
I do have some favorite cards. I like, and
Hmm.
by favorite, I mean I just love the interaction of them. Not that like, oh, this card's just like gonna win me a million games. I mentioned some of them like Echoing Death Kneel and Trawler. Um, Technorachnophobia. I really like that one. It's like it's almost like you're just stopping and doing a little mini game in the middle of a game of KeyForge, trying to
remind me
get
what that one does. I haven't seen that one in a while.
discard 10 cards, and if you discard 5 of the same house, steal 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're just like laying them down. It's like, oh, I've got 4 of this house. Am I going to get it? And then, if you need to steal 2, you will not get it. But
Yeah.
if your opponent doesn't have 2, then you'll certainly get enough.
That's some really good art on that card too. There's like a little, looks like an elf carrying a big amber, trying to run away, and there's a giant spider over him.
Yep.
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 Very cool.
Yeah, super cool. This is one of
Another,
those like you're automatically haunted cards. Plus, there's also the opportunity to steal too, which is pretty sweet. Yeah,
yeah.
I like it.
And I haven't done the math. I think that was like around 50% or something of like being able to steal 2, but I don't know for sure. Another cool one is Amberfly,
Mm-hmm.
that untamed creature that's like scrimmage and elusive. And I don't have it up. What is it? It
I
fight
think
capture
it's
1 after reap, move 1 amber to your pool.
yeah, yeah.
There was
It's a
one
neat
play
one.
test game, yeah, where I had 2 of these things out on my board, and like the opponent is going for key 3, and I'm just like untamed, just like fighting with one of them to get them off check, and I'm just like, I didn't have any like other untamed, like it was the only thing I could do to get them off check, and so I was just like, I'm fighting with them, and then like when I get a chance, I'm reaping with these amber flies to add it to my own pool, and it's just like it's kind of crazy cool interaction, just like, man, these creatures really got some stuff going on for them. So I was glad I did get some of those in some of my decks, just from that one game experience of them saving my butt in a playtest game.
I like this card.
Nice.
The elusive skirmish combo is also really, always fun. It's kind of like I'm trying to hide, don't mind me, sort of a deal. And I like one, they're encouraging more fights. Always love that, right? And two, it's kind of a way that they've approached a question of like how would you do a slow steal, right? Like I'm gonna first capture and then like claim that amber on the next turn. So I'm kind of doing a steal over the course of 2 turns. I don't know, kind of neat, kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I think
also
that
really
card will
like,
probably. Sorry, I was just gonna say the Emberfly real quick. I think would probably be a little bit better in Grim Reminders sealed, or like in
Mm,
closed Grim Reminders, because of the, like the little bit less seed you talk about. But like you play some older decks like Mass Mutation, a couple damage pips, that thing's gonna go away pretty quickly. So you're gonna need some extra synergy probably across that to get some value out of that.
was it 2 or 3?
It's a 2 power.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I also, I know you guys were talking about this one before. Target Yin Yeezdle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this covered in the things you're allowed to talk about in the as a playtester, right? How the heck we came up with Martian names?
You know, honestly, your guess is as good as mine with some of that stuff. So, um, yeah, with like, if you want to talk about the play testing stuff, we can kind of get into some of my experience with that. Or
No,
Let's
no,
do
you
that.
got at least one or two other favorites here I want to hear about. It just struck me as you were saying the name because we had this bit a couple episodes ago. I have like I'm struggling with some of the Martian names, but I love them, and I was like wondering if there was anything behind those. But yeah, not a big deal.
if there is, no one's told me, so I don't know the special story behind that. So, yeah, I don't know those crazy Mars names, man.
Love it.
But it is one of my favorite houses, so I do enjoy Mars. Um, and then this other one's kind of a like, is the M silent? Mnemo Leech.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
just
that's a tough one.
That's just like a value card. Just like if you're haunted, what is it? Steal 2 if you're haunted.
Yeah, I think Reap steal
Unfathomable
1 if you're
creature.
haunted, steal 2 instead. Yeah,
Yeah,
If your
I think
opponent
so.
is
and just
haunted, you steal
Oh,
two.
opponent. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Really good card. So steals one. If nobody's haunted, if your opponent is, or if, yeah, if your opponent's haunted, you get to steal two instead. Um, I guess they say I'll just read the card. I got it up here. 2 power beast Nemo leech. Is that what we're settling on? Nemo leech. I like that. Like a mnemonic leech. Nemo leech. I don't know. After reap, if your opponent is haunted, steal two. Otherwise, steal one. Yeah, super cool card. I don't know, borderline witch status in terms of prioritizing removal of this thing. I guess seems pretty good. Seems pretty good.
yeah,
Yeah, it's only two
good
power, but
value.
it's definitely a witch. You definitely got to kill that thing fast.
You gotta kill it. Gotta kill it. Nice. Quick draw. Do you have a favorite?
Um, I got a few that I've liked. I think Winds of Death, I think,
Mm,
is one of my
mm-hmm.
favorites so far. It's a pretty common favorite, I think, from a lot of people. Archive each creature from every discard pile and then destroy each creature. I've had so many situations where it's benefited me more than my opponent, and I feel like there's a lot of chances to manipulate it in this set, and
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of like not handcrafting, but really like discard pile crafting to make sure that I get more value out of this than them, and it comes with no chains. I feel like there's a lot of potential to like really play this card well, do a lot of stuff with it, and I'm probably most excited to play this card against Winds of Exchange when I have my Cursed Tomb out and just purge your entire board of 8 tokens and laugh about it. I'm gonna just really enjoy that when it happens.
Yeah, and some of my playing with my game found games, this the Scathing Sensei has got 2 Winds of Death, and just with like the double Boo and the double Hallowed Eve Festival, just discard your entire deck, then play Winds of Death, archive like all of your creatures from the other houses, and then just like, you know, there was my board state was like, I had, I think, all of my Equidon creatures in this deck on the board, and I had like 7 or 8 unfathomable cards in my hand or something like that. And just like, wow, that's some good stuff right there.
Yeah, one of the puzzles I've been enjoying is after you play Winds of Death, if you do have a big archive of like different houses, you're possibly not haunted anymore. But if you're trying to set up an ecto charge and you take back your archives and you are going to take a couple turns to get like a lot of cards in there because you're going to have like maybe 10 creatures in your hand of different houses, and your hand's going to be stuck. You're not going to draw, which is sometimes good for getting haunted, but it takes a lot longer to get through there and get back to the point where you want to be with your ecto charge. And so timing this right and balancing, like, do I want more creatures back or do I want like fewer creatures and get closer to the ecto charge? It's been really fun to kind of figure that out and find the right balance.
Yeah. So you play the Ecto Charge before the Winds of Death, and then you put everything in the archive, and then you go to Key Abduction once you pick it up.
Yeah, also that one.
It does feel
Don't
like
have that at all in the deck, but
there's sort of been this I don't not a cycle, but like I don't know. We're trying out different ways to put destroy each creature on a card with other riders that are not chains, which has been interesting, right? So there was the mass buyout, which had this effect, which was symmetric, but I don't know. The symmetry of it or the impact of it was in your opponent's favor if you needed it more as a board wipe, right? You're giving them more amber likely than you, and similar to this one, right? If your opponent has well, no, I guess this one's more upside, right? If your opponent has more creatures on board, then perhaps you have more creatures in discard pile. Interesting. So this one's maybe a little bit more one-sided when used as a board wipe and probably also as a combo piece. But when you guys look at this card, do you feel like this is a piece of C or this is a combo piece? You know,
I
depends
think
on
it's
the
definitely
deck.
both.
definitely.
Yeah, that's a fair answer. It depends on the deck, but I definitely see it as both.
Hmm.
Like you mentioned the key abduction Philly, like you can combo this with key abduction. There's nothing wrong with a board wipe that has no chains, right? Like if they have a big board that you need to handle, chances are their discard pile has fewer creatures in it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this seems like a very good versatile card that can go either way.
Interesting.
Well, and if you think about it too, like it who this card benefits more. It's like, so we're wiping the board for everybody. Like, who has more creatures in their discard? Like in the deck I showed here, like you got a great chance to race ahead and have your discard be way bigger than your opponent's in order to get a better advantage. But like if I'm also facing somebody with some Geistoid that can do like triple boo or something like that, then maybe I don't have that same advantage, and maybe like the calculus is different. So like there were definitely games play testing this card, um, and like sort of the journey of this card is I think at one point it did have some chains, and it was interesting, and I definitely like made some comments about it because it's like, gee, I'm gonna wipe the board because I need to wipe the board, but I'm getting the three chains. But then like my opponent like just archive like 5 or 6 creatures to my two. Like, was that really worth it?
Mm-hmm.
So like this is a weird card like to try to put chains on. Like, who's getting the benefit? And that's something to puzzle out as you're
Yeah.
playing it.
And I've seen a few times where after I take my archive back with more creatures in it, I end my turn with my hand above 6 anyway. And so you're not going to be shedding chains if you're
Mm-hmm.
not able to play your entire hand like that. So I could see
Yep.
that getting a little awkward with like, oh, I don't shed a chain this turn, but I still have like 2 chains left on it. I don't know. I could kind of see that, and I see your point too, that it's already got some downside in some situations. So testing it and like finding the right time to play it, I think is going to be pretty challenging.
With the other card that comes to mind, de-escalation. Let's see if I can pull it up here.
Yeah.
Was an interesting one to
Equidon,
me.
right?
Equidon card, right? Action, play, destroy each creature. Your opponent archives the top 3 cards of their deck. This is like this to me reads like, hey, we want to try. It's not symmetrical, obviously. This it destroys each creature, but gives your opponent upside. It reads to me like like an antimatter version of Gateway to Dis, right? I'm not going to reduce my own drawing potential. I'm just going to give you the 3 cards. So this is a very interesting card to me. I have seen more reluctance to play it in the games that I've played so far. I don't know if that's going to hold true. But it might just be it feels like a bigger boon to your opponent to give them those 3 archive cards right now than the 3 trains for you. But interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Reverse chains,
that
as Behawk says. I agree
Reverse
with that.
chains. Yeah.
yeah,
Reverse chains.
exactly. Well, it's just kind of like, do you like? It's in some ways it's kind of the same cost, but it's like, do you want this negative experience for you, or are you just like not as much of a negative experience, but like giving your opponent more of a benefit? So it's like kind of like a mind frame thing almost to me.
Totally. Yeah, and I love seeing those card like seeing this card printed. I love seeing this card printed because it's such an interesting question in contrast with Gateway to Dis, and you have to and like yeah, which one is better in a vacuum? Like is it better to give your opponent a random archive from the top of the deck, or accept a chain for yourself. Like that's, I don't know, interesting to me. So I don't know. Maybe we'll kind of deep dive into some of these things at some point. But this one was an interesting card. Yeah, cool. My favorite. I think one of my favorite cards so far may not surprise Quickdraw, because he knows how much I love punctuated equilibrium, but I really like Recklessness. I like Recklessness a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, this card is very
That's a
cool.
good one.
Brobnar action comes with a nugget, an amber pip. It also enhances for a damage pip and a sloppy pip. And does play. Each player discards 3 random cards from their hand, then draws 3 cards. So sort of a half punctuated equilibrium, if you will. But you're getting that amber. You're getting another discard somewhere else and a damage somewhere. So some really cool efficiency, and also like the disruption baked in. I think is going to go really underrated. Yeah, but very cool card.
This is reminding me of another card, an Equidon card. I forget the name right now. Someone can help me out here. It's a very similar effect, and it says basically, I think each haunted player discards or draws 3 cards, and each non-haunted player discards 3 random cards from their hand.
Yes.
And I got dealt with this one the other night in one of my games, and I was like, this is a great card to get dealt with. Like, it's a good maybe second turn play. If I play 3 cards from my hand and don't want the other 3, it doesn't hurt me that much. But they play a turn with just a 3-card hand, and I decided to hold it for like 1 extra turn, and then I got hit with the boo or something, and my opponent played a boo on themselves, and then suddenly it went from like a great early game play to just I have to discard it.
Yeah.
And it felt so horrible that I was like, this is going to be such a great play, and then just like a split second later, I was like, oh, I missed my window, and it's terrible now. Market fluctuation, thank you. Each haunted player draws 3 cards. Each player that is not haunted discards 3 random cards in their hand. And it comes with a pip. That's incredible disruption right there if you get it early.
Yeah, if you time this well, so good. Turn 1, or not turn 1, but early turn. Pair it with your techno-arachnophobia, and man, really good. Oh, interesting. So I hadn't thought about it until you were just talking, but you can both. It's not necessarily a bad thing to get those discards too if it's early on, right? So yeah, get that efficiency and clear out some cards. You don't necessarily just need to play it when you're haunted. It's a fine play if you're both not haunted, but once your opponent becomes haunted.
Exactly. Yeah. So like if even if it's your turn 1 and you mulligan and you're the first player, and the hand you mulligan into is not that great either, but you got this, that's a great way to just kind of set them back on their first turn and completely eliminate like any options they could have had.
Being prompted from the chat too, I think this is actually a good one to get your takes on, kind of straight up, right? Is how do you feel about the haunted mechanic in general? What's your feelings on hauntedness or the haunted mechanic? Yeah.
I love it. I think it's very I don't want to say intuitive, but like I guess I compare it to like the tide mechanic from Dark Tidings a little bit, and that can lead to the tide mechanic. I thought could like lead to more negative game experiences, like I feel like my opponent's taking this from me, or I gotta take chains or whatever. I just think the haunted mechanic, it's it's pretty easy to tell if you're haunted. I feel like you can just like slant out your discard pile and count it quick. So like I was at first concerned like, oh, like am I gonna be sitting there counting cards the entire time? But that's never been the case. It's just like, okay, just like 3-3-3-1, got it. Okay. I don't know. I think it adds to the game. Like I'm not seeing a whole lot of negatives with the haunting experience. Like there can be times where it's a puzzle trying to get haunted. There can be like times where you're trying to make sure you're like, okay, if I play this card, I'll do this thing, but then my opponent would be haunted. So I was like, I want to keep him from that. So I don't know. It just leads to a bunch of interesting game states, I think. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of negatives in my personal experience with it.
Yeah, I think I've heard a lot of people say it's like a fixed tide, like, and I can definitely see that. It's a little awkward between like, 6 and 11 cards, and it feels like it takes longer for either player starting the game to get haunted if they don't have a card like Boo. And so it's a little slows it down a little bit early on because you're counting and it's like you get to 10 and then you have a lot of recursion, you become unhaunted again and some things like that. But it hasn't been that bad. And once you get there, like once you're at like 12, 13, it's pretty easy to be like, yeah, I already know I'm haunted. I haven't taken
Oh yeah.
anything else out, and the game it flows pretty well after that. And you mentioned like the puzzle of like how to get haunted, how to stay haunted. Like I've really loved it. Like a couple of the Ghost Galaxy people that I talked to at KFC said that the real intention was like to turn on its head what you're thinking about cycling. Because in KeyForge historically, you're always just like, I got to shuffle my deck, I got to get to these cards again, find my answers back again. In Grim Reminders, it's totally the opposite. Grim Reminders, it's like I want to make sure I don't shuffle again, and that's been really interesting to play with that because it's definitely a different mindset than I've ever had playing KeyForge.
I've been really enjoying some of these games, and it's interesting too. In the play by post games that I've been doing, not tonight night, we've been play. Usually end a post when it's like, oh, and I've got 8 amber in my pool, 4 amber in my pool, whatever. But like, and 9 cards in discard, like just FYI, or, one of those things. So you're also tacking that on. It's another like interesting thing to add to the puzzle, and I really love that like that moment when you're getting towards the end of your deck, your opponent's getting to the ends of their deck, and you're like, there's still 2 Circle of Lives that they haven't played yet. Like we have this little standoff going on. It's like, yeah, great moment. Yeah, really great moment.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're like an hour in, and there's so much stuff that I think Philly has in perspective of playtesting that I really wanted to hear about.
Hmm.
So if it's all right with you guys, can we spend the next few minutes or however long we enjoy talking about kind of the playtesting stuff that you're able to share with us and what your experience was like?
Sure. Yeah, and interrupt me if you ever just like want to hear
Hmm.
more about something. So, with the playtesting experience, um, there's basically they put out a bunch of playtesting decks, and you choose some or one or two, or you play another playtester, and you just play the decks, right? And when it first starts out, some of the first waves, um, there's hardly any art on the cards, and like sometimes they're missing some icons and things like that. So the first waves are a little rough, but you just you play through the games and you give them your feedback, right? And they're kind of interested in things like how did the new mechanic or like haunted, how did that affect the game? Was it fun? Who like which deck won the game? Um, some of these other things, best moments, any problem cards or combos, other comments, and like I would usually have like other comments and just like, okay, here's all the notes that I took, and just like spam them all with that stuff. So, and you're just like trying to help them out, make the game better, like give them your perspective on these cards and some of the things like that. And as a playtester, you're gonna like some cards, you're gonna dislike some cards, and so you just give them your feedback on some of that stuff. And it's not the case where it's like, oh, I didn't like this card, that they're gonna change it. It's like your job is to give the feedback, and they like take it all in and you know make decisions on making the sets better. So it's like, and you go through like different waves of this play testing. Then like after a week or two of playing sort of the same decks, then they'll put out a new batch of playtest decks, and you'll go through those. And like some of these uh, batches, you know, the GG guys, they sit there and they play these games and they have a pretty good idea. But sometimes some of the interactions or things like that, they want more feedback on. So like they'll have a bunch of decks that maybe focus on like Heart of the Forest and Spooky Charge because they want to get more feedback on how those things interact. Or like, what was another one? Like is multiples of brick nasty something that's like a good thing, or like things like that.
Yeah.
So just you kind of like go through waves of that, and you give them more feedback on like some of these things. Sometimes cards get changed, and the set slowly seems to come together. Like and other like fun things, like at the Roseville Vault tour, I was able to get together with some other play testers in real life, and we were able to play some fun games in a back room there. So that
Cool.
was a lot of fun too, to get through that. And just like it's kind of interesting seeing some of these cards that the changes that we go through, like that Tutor Ben Rillo. I think at one point he was like 4 power and 4 armor, and it's just like, man, this guy is tanky. But yeah, it's like they change things. For me, I always had like mixed feelings about the scrap mechanic. I was like, personally, I wanted it to do more. I guess I thought like, so one thing I always did, and I don't know how much they liked it or not, but I was like kept track of when I played these, like every time I had a scrap mechanic and I had a choice, like if I played it or if I just discarded it, like discarded for the scrap mechanic. And like I think at first when I was doing that, it was only around like 20% of the time I was actually choosing to use the scrap mechanic. I think like in the later rounds of play testing for my personal play, I think I was up to more like 40% of actually using the scrap mechanic. So, and not that they changed it that much, maybe just some of it was like, being able to like play, what's that Broadnar card? Like you could play this creature Skullface, or like you could kill their 3 power witch. And so it's like, sometimes like things like that are interesting too. And so it's like,
I feel like 40% is like probably a good mix. Like 40% of the time you'll discard it, and the rest of the time you'll end up playing it. I feel like that's a pretty successful balance, I would say, of the different abilities, right?
If you're counting like when you had chances to discard a card of the active house versus not just using a sloppy pip to discard an off house card that has scrap, because certainly like with the introduction of the sloppy pip, right? And you can reach for off-house creatures, off-house cards with scrap abilities. That's pretty cool. But I really like where your head's at, tracking how often you had a chance to play a card that was of the active house, and opting to use the discard for scrap instead. Very cool.
It's a great approach to play testing. Like I've been a play tester in other games, and it is often a thankless job. And there's some things like that are just so important and valuable, in my opinion, as like if you're a designer developer, to see that kind of data and information about what players are doing and how often they're doing it. I think that's fantastic. So I know I would have appreciated that as a designer developer, to see that kind of information.
Very cool too to hear that you were getting decks with certain things seated in them, right? Oh, let's see how the Dark Heart of the Forest and Spooky Charge, if there's going to be issues here, or how these play together, how does it feel? So I mean, I don't think it's a secret that folks, that Heart of the Forest, old school Heart of the Forest, is a hated card, people love to hate. So I'm not one of those people. I'd like me some Heart of the Forest, but they're out there, I hear. But it's cool that we actually sat down with a wave and we're like, all right, everybody, let's get the feedback on Dark Heart of the Forest or whatever, right? That's cool.
Yeah. One of the scrap effects that I loved, and I didn't even realize it had the effect until like my 3rd game with the card, was Jervy. Jervy with the Reap taken to hand any card. I usually like read that after Reap effect, and I'm like, oh my god, this card's amazing. I just got to play this. And then it was like the 3rd game, and I was like, I can scrap this and archive any card from my discard pile. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah, Jervy's great.
And I went from like, okay, it's a good card if it survives, to like, this card is always good. I love this card now.
I mean, if you just had an action that was archive a card from your discard pile, it'd be great. But then if you could also play it as a creature with a great Reap effect, when you say don't have a juicy archive target, like, awesome. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I think like where scrap really shines is like you said with those discard pips. Like then it's just like, okay, got a discarded card from my hand. Oh, I can do some like handcrafting and do this. Where it's just like where you're deciding like, okay, do I slap down this creature, or like do I really need to like capture one amber or something like that? And it's like
Mm-hmm.
most of the time the like creating the threat to the opponent I found to be like more important. But you know, if you need that ability, I guess it's there for you.
Yeah. Kind of turns a lot of creatures into like creature slash action cards. Like there's the Geistoid card who's scrap destroy a flank creature, I think,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is pretty solid in a pinch, and you can just play it, and it's got I think a little bit of armor, and when it dies, it deals 1 to each enemy creature. So, um, yeah, it's pretty cool. I like the options. I love that kind of agency that it gives the players in game. Like the more decisions you have like that, I think the better. This is all contributing to like what I really love about this set.
Yeah. And as a playtester, you like to see some of the changes that the cards go through too. Because, like I said, you know, its first waves are a little rough. Like, I remember some of the first waves for Grim Reminders, there were certain creatures that just had a blank text box, and I was just like, no, this is not KeyForge. It's like, you guys are like, you just don't have it in here, right? You're gonna add something, and it's like, so yeah. So you may have noticed there's no creatures with blank text boxes. So you know, it's
I
just
didn't
like,
notice that. No more infomorphs or
Hmm.
what are some other ones from the earlier sets?
Just
well,
vanilla,
well, like those, you know,
vanilla
like they
bears.
gave you
They
something,
did
but
something right, but
just like a blank three power creature, I'm just like I
Man,
don't want to see this. This is
are there
like this is
really
not KeyForge.
are there really no just vanilla duders? Like some
I
big
mean,
Brobnar creature? It must be, right?
um, well, there's Dust Pixie, but that has the 2
No, it's
Ember
got the
pips on it.
pips. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, I
so
can't
not
think of
totally
one.
vanilla.
Anybody in the chat, can you think of a completely vanilla creature? Ah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought
No
about it.
traits,
No,
no bonuses.
no. Well, I think traits would be okay. No bonuses, like just empty
Well,
text
there's a
box.
lot of creatures that are vanilla with just a trait. Like there's the Quiet Giant, whatever he is. He's like a 6-power elusive Grobnar
Oh,
giant.
oh, sorry. You said trait, but I was thinking type. So types obviously are
Okay.
fine. Um,
Oh, is trait not the right word?
no, I think you said it. You said it correctly, but I thought the wrong thing. So
Wait, what did I say? Now that I'm thinking
you
about it.
said trait, and I was thinking type. Now we've said the word enough that it's lost meaning to me, and
Yeah,
I have to
and I don't
check.
think I did say it. If I said trait, that's not what I meant. Trait would be like, a goblin or a giant, right?
Okay. Well, so interesting. Yeah. So Arcana would call Aquian a trait. Keyword they would say is something like assault, elusive, or
Yeah,
skirmish.
that's what I was thinking. Keywords.
Okay.
That's what I meant to say.
So to borrow the magic MTG terminology, we may have some French vanillas, but I'm looking for the vanillas. The French vanillas are like just power toughness, but with some keywords. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think if there is any. I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting, and it's interesting that there may not be, or there are at least very few, and it hasn't felt like overloaded complexity. Because those sorts of cards are brought in other games to kind of like keep the complexity from getting too overwhelming. But I don't know, it doesn't feel bad. Maybe, and that just may be like the whole like you're playing one house at a time thing. I don't know what it is, but it has never felt like overwhelming to me. And
Well, I'm just curious, like for you guys, do you like if you were introducing KeyForge to a new player, is like, would you pick Grim Reminders, or are you thinking like that's one of the more complex sets?
So, being that I just tried teaching my wife with Grim Reminders, she had learned a little bit of Coda before, because like that's what we went with. But she only played a couple games, didn't really get into it. It didn't really grab her attention. Um, Grim Reminders did grab her attention,
Oh,
and
good.
she picked it up. It wasn't too bad until I played one of my clock decks, and I opened 2 clock decks already, and one of them is my quick draw deck with a capital Q, and I was like, I just want to play it. Like it doesn't seem like a great deck, but I was like, I should just play it. And I have these clocks out, and I'm like moving counters around everywhere, and then like destroying things, purging something, archiving, and she's just like, I don't even know what's going on anymore. And it reminded me of our talk about board complexity about a
Mm-hmm.
month or two ago. And yeah, I totally see that. Like this set does have some more board complex stuff like the clocks, but overall it's not that bad. Like there's definitely some exceptions, but I feel like overall the set is not that bad as far as teaching a new player, keeping it fairly simple. I think the hardest thing about the set for a new player to pick up on would be all the bonus icons, like understanding the difference between a discard and a draw and an amber and a capture, and remembering to do those each time they play a card.
They should add those to the 38th card. Just the definition. This is an amber.
That's
It's true.
interesting.
They probably should,
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't.
because it's not really defined anywhere outside of like a rule book, but you can only get a rule book online. So I think that's definitely a good idea to put that on the rules cards.
Yeah, I'm surprised the different sorts of pips aren't on there actually. Now that you mention it. Huh. Well, all right.
Yeah.
There we go. Some
Like,
some feedback for them on the on the rules text card. I like it.
I kind of mentioned earlier, like the playtesting, you know, I kind of lose out on like the discovery aspect of it, but at the same time, it does get you excited to like hopefully open up certain decks. Like I said before, it's like I really wanted a Witch Queen, and that Dark Heart spooky charge decks. I thought those would be fun, so maybe I'll get them sometime. But yeah, not right
Yeah,
now.
I know what you mean about the discovery part. I appreciate what you and other playtesters do for the game. It's like I said before, it's a kind of a thankless job, and you've definitely made sacrifices to do it and improve the game that you love. So I just thank you. I think it's great.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you.
Much appreciated
Yeah.
indeed. Much appreciated indeed.
Well, it's a game that I love, and it's a great community that I found here, and so I don't know. I guess I've always kind of thought of it as a way of giving back. So
Right on.
I selfishly love the discovery too much, and I was asked by a colleague, an acquaintance, a couple of years ago during the FFG days to like if I was interested in playtesting, and I was like, no thanks. I like the discovery. I want to be. I just want to be a fan. Like I said, I've done playtesting before, and it kind of it does hurt the excitement a little bit when something comes out. And you're like, yeah, I already knew about that. And so I just wanted to kind of enjoy KeyForge for what it is to me as just like a great lifestyle game and a hobby that I'm pretty obsessed with. So I didn't want to take that leap of the spoilers.
yeah, and I don't think like playtesting is not going to. I don't think it's going to like give you a big competitive advantage either. I was just thinking back to like um, I forgot to mention like when you play test is like they have the waves, but they're also uh, allow you to play against your own decks, and so they get some like cross set feedback as well. And so it's like um, back with like Winds of Exchange or something like that. I had my mass mutation decks with the double fang tooth cavern, and against just like your procedurally generated woe deck, that was like it was fine. You could like take care of it. So I was like, I thought that would be the good way to go. And then I like this last season of Nordic Keyforge League, just like Double Fang Tooth Cavern was not doing near enough against woe decks. I just like got smoked this past season. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, yeah, the top end competitive stuff that might be like slightly different than like some of the stuff that I saw, but like they, like I said, they generate a bunch of decks and like they, like I said, select them kind of by like, oh, we're checking out spooky charge and whatnot, and some of them like they're kind of curious like what they think will be like impressive or whatnot, but it's not like they don't like tell you like, oh, this deck's gonna be like a super awesome deck or anything like that. Kind of leave it up to you to like tell them like, wow, I thought this deck, with this combination of cards was super powerful, like things like that. So
Hmm.
all that just to say that like I don't think I have any super competitive advantage because I was a playtester. So I'll just
You weren't stockpiling the Infernus decks, getting ready for shutting down recursion shenanigans.
no. I did like try out some of that stuff, some of my
Yeah,
own
yeah.
decks with Infernus against the haunted stuff. But it's just like I don't know. If you're trying to prevent someone from being haunted just by like purging all their cards, I feel like you're being too reactive.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Unless that's what your deck is wanting to do.
Interesting. Interesting. Very cool.
But I'm sure there's some jock or whatever out there that's gonna have is gonna do the same thing. Maybe you get lucky and get their ecto charge.
Can always hope for that. Always hope for that. Well, cool. Well, I definitely appreciate the insights there, uh, and stories and insight into the process. Very cool. I know. I think we should probably think about moving on to playing a game at some point. Anything else either of y'all want to make sure we hit before we shift gears?
Um, it's just like I think playtesting has been a good experience. I'm happy to like hopefully improve, give back my feedback to the game that I enjoy. I hope they make good use of my feedback. And, if I think I can't say for certain, but I think they're always looking for more play testers. So you can always like reach out to customer service at GG or whatever and say, hey, I'm interested or whatnot. But
Very cool.
unless you're into the call, like what was the call of discovery?
Yeah. If you're like me and you're into that, then may not be for everybody. That's all right.
Yep.
Totally. All right, cool. Well, we do have a sponsor for this evening. One I think you'll both appreciate. This episode of Bottom of the Beaker was sponsored by Chicken Hats Limited, where style meets feathered fun. Are you ready to elevate your fashion game to extraordinary heights? Look no further. Chicken Hats Limited has hatched to bring you the cluckiest trend in headwear that's turning heads and feathers alike. So make your mark on the fashion scene with our customizable chicken hats. Add your favorite colors, feathers, and even personalize it with your name or just a clucking good catchphrase. Don't just wear a hat, make a statement with Chicken Hats Limited. Thank you so much, Chicken Hats Limited, to sponsoring the show. Yeah. And folks, I mean, I know I don't have to tell you both about Chicken Hats Limited. You're well in the know.
I was trying to find my I have chicken stickers of my chickens,
Yeah.
and I can't find any within arm's reach here. So
I know. Yeah. We we both have pictures of chickens on our heads. I'm just gonna say it out loud.
Yeah, it was awkward for everybody else, but now they know. They get the joke.
Now we know.
the inside joke made it worth it. I think Cloggin enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, totally. Right on. Well, folks, I want to let you all know that Bottom of the Beaker is filmed live or recorded live right here at twitch.tv/sloppylabwork Wednesday evenings at 9:30 Eastern. You can find recordings of our past shows and other streams over at youtube.com. Search for @sloppylabwork over there. For their very best content, 34? No. 57 times distilled and scraped from the bottom of the beaker. Search for that very phrase in your podcatcher of choice. And we'll be there wearing a chicken hat, ready to jam some grim reminders with you. Thank you so much to Philly for joining us this evening to talk grim reminders. It was a joy. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget to check out Adventuring Letty on Backer Kit. It'll be awesome.
Check it out.
Excellent.
And quickdraw, got any words for the folks getting off at the final audio stop?
Thanks also to Philly. It's been a pleasure having you on. Really appreciated your insight and your perspective on Grim Reminders. Thank you so much. And everyone else out there, Thanks for watching or listening, and stay sloppy.
Stay sloppy indeed. Okay, right on. Well, I'm going to kill the Zencaster. Recording. Nicely done. Update our layouts on the stream side because Zencaster does insist on shifting things around when you stop recording. Cool. Well, that was a lot of fun, Philly. Yeah, really appreciate you coming on with us. We are still live. I know we switched into pajamas mode, but don't start trash talking anybody just yet. Yeah, so usually this is where we play a game that relates to the topic that was discussed. So I know it's late. Are you up for a game of some sort? We have an ABR match to play too. I don't know if you want to jam that. That's also an option.
Yeah, if you want to jam our match, I'd be cool with that.
That's awesome. I will narrate and heckle as needed.
Okay.
Excellent.
Normally we'll play like a hand and brain, but JT, I'm tired of JT beating me anyway, so I'm fine with just watching a game this evening.
Okay, cool. With quickdraw as commentating the match. I like it. Although no spoilers. No spoilers for the players, I suppose.
No spoilers, and no, I will not be helping. JT, you're obviously my captain this season in ABR. We don't want any competitive integrity tarnished here. This, it's all in good fun with ABR.
All right, cool. And I see you've already started a game. I like it. I am joining, and this is the Unchained Best of One Archon week. So we're playing some Unchained decks, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Have you guys got to watch many of your teammates' games this week?
I usually like to. I haven't gotten to watch as many as I usually would, which has been a shame because I love the shenanigans.
It's been a fun week to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I lost to Embermedes last night. He had a Martian Generosity Battle Fleet deck, and he also had a Universal Recycling Bin along with it. And I foolishly decided, I don't like that Martian Generosity. I'm going to purge that. And he got it back 2 turns later. And I was like, well, I kind of walked right into that one. But there's been some really fun stuff. I heard there's like a double library access deck someone else is playing.
Yeah.
All kinds of crazy stuff.
You know what? I'm going to go with the deck that is in the ABR sheet and not the deck that I was playing before. So that'll be fun.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm totally cool with you going with the deck that you were thinking of playing, if that matters.
He's a captain, so
yeah, we can make it official. Up to you.
But it might have been somebody else's deck if I just accidentally hit the wrong one.
Yeah, play the deck you meant to play, whichever one that is. Ooh, question from the chat. Has anyone ever asked why did a concept like Unchained occur to FFG? I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know. I guess like in the FFG times, I don't know. Things were still kind of new and interesting enough. I feel like we've had 5 years now of playing 6 different sets, and I think it's a good time for Unchained Menagerie. I'm not a huge fan of it personally. It's fun for a single week in ABR, but that's about my sweet spot. I think I've bought maybe 5 different Unchained decks, including one that I bought last week to try to get something nice for our team to play this week, and didn't really happen. But to me, there's not a ton of stuff I love about it, but I think it's just a good time for it now as opposed to 4 years ago when FFG was still in charge.
Yeah, it is great for its social aspect. I also think you have to take yourself not too seriously. But I mean, I don't know. As a smaller company, maybe you can pull off something like Unchained, but maybe that's painting FFG as being stuffier than they actually are. All right, well, The Blorb deck has its Blorb Hive. Turn 1. Let's go.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, Magic had the unsets. The unsets were controversial at the beginning. I was so pumped when Unglued first came on the scene. I don't know if I'm like a holy moly. But yeah, I actually ended up collecting all of the unsets up until, I don't know, the last one. I'm not sure what the very last one was. But it's like the only Magic sets that I've collected all of. Funnily enough. Ooh, interesting.
I always thought they should do, like, my idea, and this is just my idea, is like they should have done like a Coda like Redux or Redo or something where it's like
like a
you
Coda
have,
remastered.
yeah, but like every deck is guaranteed like 1 to 3 like legacy, like future legacy cards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you could pull in like some Worlds Collide like cards or other stuff like that. So like to me, it seems like they kind of took that concept and it's just like, well, why base it around one set? Just jumble them all together. So,
Yeah.
Oh man, you got the Soul Snatcher out too already?
Soul
Dang,
Snatcher
man.
Blorb Hive. Let's go. Soul Snatcher Blorb Hive.
And I'd really love, now that you talk about like a Coda revised or something like that, I'm thinking like, man, the possibilities of a Dark Tidings revised. But it wouldn't be tournament legal, and then I don't know.
Would you imagine it as like a straight up reprint or with like some like changes to it? You mean?
I would love to see some minor tweaks to it to make it a more competitive set.
Interesting.
Um,
I would love to go back to Dark Tidings, but have like a different take on things. Like still have the tide as a mechanic, but like you take the tide in a different way, right? Or something like that. You interact with the tide differently. I don't know. Ooh.
Way back when, probably like 2 or 3 months ago, before we had like a ton of Grim Reminders content, I had posed a question in the NKFL server. If we had changed like these 5 cards in Dark Tidings, would that
Mm-hmm.
how would that change your impression of the set? And the 5 things I was talking about were like just specific card swaps, like take out this one untamed or Shadows uncommon and put in a TMTP. Take out like some other unfathomable common and put in a befuddle, like things like
Mm-hmm.
that, just to shift the power level slightly and add in like powerful cards like TMTP and befuddle. Would that change your opinion of the set?
Mm.
And I mean, there was a little bit of discussion for a morning, but I feel like it wouldn't take much to make Dark Tidings like a really, really good, balanced, competitive set.
I have to like double check the cards that are on the far left of my hand on TCO because I'm like it could be any house, but the like hand count thing covers it up, and the card frame doesn't update when it's a Maverick. But I think I have played all of the cards that I intend to play this turn. Okay.
let's see.
Yeah, I'd say GR is looking an awful lot like a fresh take on DT in a lot of ways, or at least a lot of the same ideas of DT, right? Like you've got hauntedness, which is sort of this on off binary mechanic, not too unlike the tide, at least at a really high level. Don't want to distract too much.
Yeah, sorry.
No, yeah.
It's all good.
Go in the tank.
All right.
You have a Timequake in here. That is it's a card that I want so much to be good, but I don't know.
I like Timequake.
I know you do.
Quickdraw knows I'm a big Timequake fan.
Yeah, I'm hoping with all this like huge archive stuff you can get with Winds of Death, maybe my Desanya deck will be able to come back.
There you go. That's definitely a power card. That I think was it like probably auto encoder when auto encoder came around. People were like, "Oh yeah, I got to bust out my Dysania now." And Winds of Exchange didn't really have a ton of archiving in it, so Yeah, could be the rise again of Dysania. I have a Shadows Dysania in a pretty cool deck.
Nice.
Oh no.
This is gonna be a fast game, one way or another.
One way or another. Yeah, the Soul Snatcher Blorb Hive combo is so much fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Reap? Reap? I mean, I could fight. Oh, is Tamwa a fight effect? Tamva. Yeah. Blood money. That's no fun.
All right.
Okay, that's a key. I'll take a key. I think we're going this here. I mean, I'll give you a blorb. Just one though. Don't get too excited. I'm not gonna give you tons of blorbs. I need to make some blorbs for myself too. All right, very cool.
Well, okay, what's in here?
Oh, the little spoiler alert here in a ruling. I learned this the hard way once. Soul Snatcher says the owner of the creature gains 1. So you just exiled that poor little blorb, and you're not even going to give him an amber for Soul Snatcher whenever it dies.
Nope, I will get that amber. If and when it dies, I will get that amber. Yeah. Man, what happened to the no help? This game is under protest.
Take it up with your captain.
Yeah.
Capture 10.
I was just trying to think, because I have a deck with Soul Snatcher, and I'm trying to think, like, what situation did I get in where my opponent gained the amber? And it was, now that I think of it, I was probably playing a Whirlpool deck against the Soul Snatcher deck. It's probably how I encountered that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I do this, I don't want to do that. Too many cards.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oath of Poverty. Holy moly.
Well, going with we're not setting up the huge oath.
Yeah.
Seeing as I still haven't seen a whole lot of mine. But I don't want to chain myself too much with it yet. Or now.
No, makes good sense. Interesting.
Come on, Captain. You got some catching up to do here.
Yeah.
He's got the key cheat, right?
I mean, we're close. We're close, Coach. I don't know. 4 out of 10. I think I gotta tax you though. Feels like I kind of do. I mean, I can also just run all my blorbs into stuff and get lots of monies. Feels good too. But that's like last ditch time. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think I got a taxi here. Get a reap with the Octet. Get this Dust Imp. Seems good. Gonna get to check here with the Dust Imp and make a couple blorbs. Seems pretty okay. Yeah, I know. Wait, right? Bad penny. Yeah, I could have done this one first, but I don't know. What do you have for man? If I was a good player, I'd be checking Amber Control. Puzzling Cricket could be coming. Rot Grub we've seen. Procs coming still. Yeah, we're gonna play this guy. Let's go.
All right. Shuffle each friendly card into your deck. Do I want to do that? Do, do, do. Okay. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that Soul Snatcher changes all the calculations with Lord Hive, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot of fun. I don't know.
Yeah, I got like I think 5 unchanged decks, and they were all just like medium to below average.
Yeah. No, the only reason I have one that's decent is I am obsessed with Whirlpool, as everyone knows. I was playing a blind sealed Unchained game with one of my locals, and he literally opened it across the table from me, and he was like, "You're not going to believe what I just opened," and he ended up trading it to me. The rest of my Unchained, are just boring and weak, and not really worth too much.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, I don't have many good options here, so
I like the sound. I like the sound, not gonna lie. Selfishly like the sound.
yes. Gotta hope we can get enough amber here, even because I'm going to give you a bunch.
Holy
Whoa.
moly. All right, let's go.
All right,
Ooh, and the time
let's
quake.
see what happens.
Oh man.
Let's see what I drew.
Awesome. I like your style. Oh, wow. Okay. Hmm. 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 Hmm.
This cat on me.
Can you? I mean, I should check for key cheats and things, right? It feels like a thing I should have done at the beginning. I think I just gotta make a bunch of money right here. 2. That's not gonna do it. That's $3 in Saurian, $2 in Mars, $4 in Dis. All right, I think we're going Dis. No, $3 in Dis. $3 in Dis, but we move fewer cards. All right, Saurian it is then. Yeah. No reaps. No damaged creatures. Play this dude without exalting. And make a couple blorbs. Okay.
All right. Well, that's GG. Basically, I'll play out this turn. I was clogged 2/2/2. I'm like, I've got nothing. Like the hope is to get the Oath of Poverty set up, but
So the first time I ever played this deck, I opened it at Philly. I think it was Quick Draw.
Yeah, it was Philly.
It was Philly, and I was like, oh, I'm so like this deck's great. It has so many cards I love. I'm like, Blorp Hive, turn 1. And my brother goes borrow. Oh, come on, borrow. Yeah.
I kind of felt like, yeah, it was just like, okay, he's close. Like, I knew my deck was going to slow down just because, like, I didn't have anything in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, do I take care of the board? Do I leave the board? If I leave the board, he's going to blorb key cheat for sure. And so I was just like,
Got the
there
Clone
was
Homes
Time
coming.
Quake and there was Red Alert. I'm like, and maybe I should have just done. Cat, get out of here.
If you had just done the Timequake, at least he couldn't have fought you with the Blorbs.
But that's the
So he
thing, though.
couldn't have
Then you're
just,
like, you're in no more, not playing any more creatures for the rest of the game to keep the blorb fights off. I guess. I don't know. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
Unless you can go to check. All right,
Yeah,
GG.
I didn't. It's like, well, let's see what I draw here. I'm like, just gambled on the river, I suppose.
I like the gamble there. I think you were in. I mean, it's a tough call. It was yeah. The Blorb Hive was coming in. The like constant upward pressure from the Soul Snatcher made it tough, and I had a really good opening draw with the 2 artifacts. I was like, all right, yeah, that came together pretty well. But it was a cool game.
Well, it's like, because I have the Red Alert, I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep this in my back pocket. Like, if he gets close to the 10, and then it's like I had Red Alert, I had Oath of Poverty early, and I had, I don't know, like a 3rd card. I was like, well, these would be good for later, but I'm going to be chaining myself way too much if I keep all of these. So it's just like.
And you never saw
all
the
right.
barehanded, did you?
Nope.
Yeah.
Barehanded would have been
That's
sad
bad.
times. Yeah.
Barehanded followed by a Red Alert the turn after would have been
Yep.
pretty solid.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 1, 2, 3 more artifacts that I never got out. So
we never saw the Arbitrage, the Trinket, or the Proc, at least, right?
Yeah, Proc would have been big.
Proc would have been big on the on my second key to stop that second key. Yeah.
Right. So, no, well, good game.
Good game.
KeyForge, good game.
The deck I thought I was playing was like it had 2 fertility chance and like glimmer, so it just wanted to keep spamming that glimmer a bunch.
Just
so
get the game over with as fast as possible is what that sounds like.
yeah.
I mean, this was turn 8 is pretty speedy still, but yeah, this was a lot of Amber generation for sure.
Yeah.
Glimmer, yeah, Dumber and Dumber fertility chant. Oof.
Well, JT, it looks like you drew your Full Moon, Bad Penny, Unity, or Discord combo.
That's a lot of fun, especially if you let's see, one of these tokens is a disc creature too, so Unity or Discord brings a couple back. Yeah, the Bad Penny's actually a lot of fun in this deck, right? Like you can get some extra Soul Snatcher value, throw out some turns, especially on a full moon turn. You're going to play it twice, blow it up once. With Unity or Discord, you get another play in there too. So I don't know, some cool value.
Imagine if there was an autocannon too.
Imagine if there was an autocannon too. But yeah, the Exile, as you're mentioning, quick draw is a lot of fun because Soul Snatcher does say owner, so you can hand over a creature and still get paid out when it dies.
That's pretty cool.
So at KFC, one of the Unchained decks that I got had Whirlpool in it, and it
Oh, wow.
it had a bunch of artifacts, and it had I forget the name, like Hail or Merchant of Hail or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but it was like it didn't do enough other stuff. Like if you could mess with the opponent when you had Whirlpool and like keep capturing the amber and send it over to them, like it could do stuff. But like,
is it a Maverick Whirlpool?
No. Unfathomable was one of the houses for it.
Dang.
It was Shadows, Sanctum, and Unfathomable.
Okay. Man, I'm looking for more Maverick Whirlpools, even in Unchained. So, anyone that knows them, let me know.
There you go.
There are a bunch out there, and some of them are owned by people that I've heard of. I couldn't remember if your name was one of them or not. I haven't looked in a while.
Yeah, mine's all right. I thought some of the team decks might be a little better. So
This has been my go-to one. I opened some fairly sassy Unchained decks. Actually, I think one of the teammates played it earlier in the round. Unfathomable played it, I think, and got to pull off the tribute into inspiring oration into a whole bunch of to make a whole bunch of amberlings, right? So you've got a whole bunch of amberlings thanks to tribute and inspiring oration, and also you've got the big dino that lets you forge using amber that's on your dudes. So it's like making amber or making keys all these different ways. Hilarious stuff. But cool. Well, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for sticking around to play the game on stream too. Good times indeed.
No problem.
We can I don't know, say goodnight to the chat folks, and good times.
Thanks for sticking around, everybody, for the game. Thanks for playing the game. It's a fun one.
Right on. Cool. All right, chat. Catch y'all later. Thanks. See you around the lab. What's our actual game sign off? I forget the game sign off. See you around the lab.
I think it's your job.
Okay. Night.